The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. After weeks of rollbacks, motorists will see once again an increase in the prices of fuel products this week. Gasoline will be more expensive by nearly a peso per liter, while diesel prices will be up by 1 peso and 30 centavos. Energy official Rodela Romero said the oil price hike may be attributed to uncertainties related to the situation in Palestinian territory Gaza, the cancellation of the Jordan Peace Summit on October 18, Iran's call for oil embargo on Israel, and lower stockpiles of crude oil in the United States. Romero assured, however, the government is ready to lend a hand to motorists affected of the hike.
Kung pagbabastuhan po ang aksyon ng Department of Energy, koordinasyon na ginagawa namin sa mga oil companies para magpatupad po sila ng mga discount program sa iba't ibang uri ng mamimili sa mga gasolinahan. May mga PUB lanes, may mga discount po doon, minsan na umaabot mula piso hanggang 4 na piso kada litro. Sa mga motoristas, gamitin nila yung kanilang power of choice. Kasi yun nga po, nasabi natin, may mga discount sa iba't ibang gasolinahan. Magtipid po talaga yung pagkanilang lakad o kanya biyahe, dapat nakaplano po yung nila mga biyahe para at least makatipid.
The Philippines and China are trading blame for the collision incident off Ayungin Shoal on October 22. In a press conference, the Philippine government reiterated that China Coast Guard vessel 5203 made dangerous blocking maneuvers that led to its crash with Manila's resupply boat. Foreign Affairs spokesperson Teresita Daza said that the Philippines has already filed a diplomatic protest over the incident. She added China's Deputy Chief of Mission in Manila has been summoned this morning in place of Chinese Ambassador to the Philippines, Huang Xilian. Huang is reportedly out of town.
The matter was of urgent and important, and the department felt that the DCM was needed to be met by our Assistant Secretary. We've already filed. The DCM was summoned, so the protest was also conveyed.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, however, said the Philippines intruded into its waters. It also insisted that its actions were, quote, professional and within the bounds of the law. The Chinese Coast Guard echoed the statement, saying the country trespassed into Beijing's territory. It added that the Philippines is using the incident to escalate tension in the disputed area of the West Philippine Sea. So far, the international community is taking Manila's side, criticizing Beijing for the latest sea encounter. The U.S. State Department said that China's dangerous maneuvers violated international law. Washington believes the Chinese Coast Guard intentionally interfered with the freedom of navigation of Filipino vessels. Japanese ambassador to the Philippines, Kazuhiko Koshikawa, is seriously alarmed by the collision. Tokyo reiterated its opposition to any attempt at disturbing the status quo in any territory, especially when it involves force and coercion. As for the United Kingdom, it joins the Philippines in calling for China to adhere to maritime laws and the 2016 arbitral ruling. More stories coming your way after a quick break. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. More overseas Filipino workers from Israel will arrive this afternoon. The returning 25 OFWs will be the third batch of repatriates. So far, 36 Filipinos from Israel have safely made it back here in the country. None of them were from the group of Pinoys who came from the war-torn Gaza and are still stranded near the Rafah border crossing in Egypt. Meantime, the Philippine Embassy in Beirut have called for the voluntary repatriation of Filipinos there. That's as fighting spills over to the southern border of Lebanon where Hamas supporter Hezbollah is camped. Meantime, a heartbreaking homecoming for an OFW who died in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Rainiel Pawid has that story.
It was a sorrowful Sunday morning for the Alacre family as they fetched Loretta's remains in Silay Airport in Negros Occidental. Last October 7th, Loretta Alacre died on her way home in Tel Aviv after being shot by Hamas as the militant group launched its attack on Israel. Her remains will be brought to her residence in Cadiz after a day in the funeral home. The Alacre family has decided to hold Loretta's wake for 10 days.
Gusto po namin makasama yung kapatid namin kasi huling pagkikita na lang din namin sa kanya.
Loretta was supposed to go home for her 50th birthday and their family reunion in December.
Nagpapasalamat pa rin kami na nakakauwi siya sa amin kahit ganyan na, kahit masakit sa amin magkapatid. Sana tulungan niya rin kaming matanggap namin na wala na siya.
For its part, the Office of the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA said it will give Loretta a hero's welcome. This, aside from the financial and the burial assistance for her family.
Magkakaroon po tayo ng hero's welcome bilang pagkilala sa kanyang sakripisyo na ibinigay hindi lamang sa kanyang pamilya, kundi ang kadakilaan na rin bilang isang OFW.
Loretta died with her Chinese national boyfriend and her friends who were also Chinese. She will be laid to rest on November 5th. For News 5, Rainiel Pawid, we are One News.
Here are more stories out of the battle lines in the Middle East. Militant group Hamas has released 2 American hostages who were taken during the October 7 siege of southern Israel. Mother and daughter Judith and Natalie Rannon were abducted in Nahal Oz kibbutz near the Gaza border while on their way to a military base in central Israel. They were the first hostages to be freed. Abu Ubaidah, a spokesman for Hamas's armed wing, said the 2 were released in response to Qatari mediation efforts. Some 34 trucks from Egypt carrying food and medicine have been allowed to enter Gaza via the Rafah border. Several United Nations personnel were there to guard the passage of the trucks. More than 2 million locals in Gaza have been waiting for days for the humanitarian assistance. However, hundreds of people in the border were still not allowed to leave. Pope Francis and U.S. President Joe Biden discussed the Israel-Hamas conflict over the phone. According to the Vatican, the conversation lasted around 20 minutes. It primarily addressed conflict situations worldwide and finding path towards peace. This comes as Israel prepares for a ground assault against Gaza. Biden said that Israel assured operations will remain within the laws of war and will protect civilians in combat as much as possible. More than 100 barangays were added to COMELEC's list of election hotspots just a week before the barangay and SK elections. There are now 361 barangays under red category. This means that there are suspected election-related incidents or security threats in the area. COMELEC is expecting an increase of the number of hotspots as the election draws near. The BSKE voting will be held on October 30. One News Now will be back at 6 p.m. with the day's latest stories. See you then. I'm Denise Tan. We are One News.